The offspring of each F1 plant made up the F2 or second filial generation. To make sure his calculations were statistically accurate, Mendel counted large numbers of offspring in each generation.
Now take a look. Check it out. White reappeared in the F2 generation, didn't it? No white in the F1, but in the F2, white reappeared. And this is a thing you noticed. It always reappeared in this ratio. A 3-to-1 ratio, purple to white. In other words, if there was 100 pea plants, about 75 would be purple. Well, how many would be white?
25.
About 25 would be white.
Would it be like 33?
You know how probability is, like flipping a coin, so around there is what he found. Okay? And that ratio never varied. When he crossed tall with short, the F1 was all tall. Never saw any shorts in the F1. But then when the F1 cross-fertilized, short reappeared. And it was always 3-to-1. For all 7 traits, he noticed the same thing. One trait showed up in the F1, and only one. And then the other one showed up in the F2, but it was always a 3-to-1 ratio. Huh. So I got him thinking. And that's what the next section's about.
Now let's learn about Mendel's laws. Through his monohybrid cross experiments, Mendel made 4 key observations that led him to propose his first law of inheritance.
So in your notes, make sure you have them down. I need to see that you have 4 key observations and understand how these 4 key observations led to Mendel proposing this law of segregation. Now, before we go any farther, segregation means the same thing as separation. All right? If I segregate Rebone from Powell, I'm going to move them apart from each other. Okay? That's all segregate means. It means to move away, to separate. All right? Mendel's first law is known as the law of segregation, the law of separation. As in, tetrad splitting, as we'll see. So how did he come up with this law? Well, he made 4 observations. Here they are.
First, Mendel noticed that each trait, such as flower color, has 2 alternative forms.
All right? Observation number 1. Flowers are either purple or white. Pea plants are either tall or short. Their pea pods are either green or yellow. There's no red pea pods. Peas are either wrinkled or dented. They're either yellow or green. 2 distinct forms exist for most traits. That's how yours work also. You can either taste PTC or you can't taste PTC. Either your earlobes are attached or they dangle. All right? 2. The magic number there is 2.
For example, purple and white. He proposed that each trait is controlled by a different gene, and that every alternative is specified by a different form of that gene, called an allele.
Here is one of your key terms, an allele. What's an allele? It's a different form of a gene. All right? For instance, there is, in this case, 2 alleles. There's the purple allele, and what's the other allele? The white allele. In other words, the allele that causes white. Is there a red allele in pea plants? Is there a yellow allele for flower-colored pea plants? No. There's only 2 alleles. Most of your traits follow the same principle. 2 alleles. All right? And by convention, well, I won't get to that, but we usually use letters to symbolize our alleles. Okay? So this is one of the first things that Mendel proposed, this idea of different forms of traits. Question over there?
Is that a T?
That's a P. Oh, yeah, sorry. Guys, when you do genetics problems, sometimes you end up with lowercase and uppercase letters that look really, really similar. So by convention, just by habit, I put a dash in there. For instance, you know, C, well, this is a lowercase c. This is an uppercase c. You want to see what I'm doing there? I recommend that you do that. I mean, you probably don't have to do it for AA, right? Or for T, but for those letters that are, you know, it's hard to tell a difference.
Like O.
O, yeah.
It looks like a Q.
Yeah, it's like a Q. Maybe go like this.
Like all the way through.
Do something, because, you know, 10:30 at night when you're working on your fourth genetics problem, and Dancing with the Stars is on, or X on at 10:30, you might get confused if you don't remember which allele is big and which allele is small. So that's a P with a dash through it.
For flower color, Mendel assigned a capital P for the purple flower allele and a lowercase p for the white flower allele. We'll discuss the use of capital versus lowercase letters in just a minute. For each trait, an organism inherits two alleles, one from each parent.
Remember here now, this is diploid, isn't it? But you only pass one of these on. Let's see if some of you can get this. What's this structure called right here? Tetrad, right? Big P, and of course this will be big P. What happens? Well, tetrads split, don't they? So you only pass on one of these alleles, to your offspring, don't you? That's because you produce gametes that only have one copy in there. So it's not like this pea plant can pass on both of these, right?
An individual is homozygous if both alleles are identical, while a heterozygous individual has two different alleles.
Again, key terms, okay? This is homozygous because both alleles are the same. This is homozygous dominant. This is also homozygous, though, isn't it? But this is homozygous recessive because both alleles are recessive. This is hetero because you've got a big P and a little p. There's different alleles there. So, this is actually a purebred purple plant, isn't it? But this is a heterozygous purple. You could also call it a hybrid purple. So hybrid and heterozygous mean about the same thing for us. All right? So there's actually two different types of purple when it comes to alleles, isn't there? For reasons that we'll get to in a second. The only way a pea plant can be white, but it has two recessive alleles given to it by its parents.
The allelic composition of a gene is called the genotype. The physically observable translation of a genotype is called the phenotype.
All right. Now here's something there, a little lewd to some kids also. Genotype causes phenotype. Not the other way around. Your phenotype is whether or not you can taste PTC. What determined whether or not you can taste PTC? Your alleles. What you got. Your genotype. Okay? So get that straight. It's not the other way around.